welcome to Gatekeepers. This episode, Adversarial Game Masters. If you are new to our channel or new to our content, we discuss topics and questions ranging from our community about questions they might have about TTRPGs. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to this channel and the other channels linked in the video description below. If you like this content, please make sure to hit that like button, as it helps the channel grow and helps get our message out to the other people on YouTube. Now, without further ado, let's get into the panel. Hello, my name is Jaide, and this is my Tabletop Tavern. With me tonight is going to be Shadow from Shadow and Sun. How you doing, sir?
Howdy, folks. I'm doing just great. Had a nice, busy day today, and got a bunch of stuff done.
Awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing all right. Had a pretty productive day at work, so that's always good. Been working with and collaborating with another member of Index Card RPG community on one of their projects that they're working on. It's been going pretty good. It's interesting to see it come to life. He's basically started from scratch and has been building pretty steadily since February. So just a few editing things here and there that I'm spotting. I'm like, hey, you might want to do this, or you might want to do just a little bit of that tweaking here and there. Get your language get a little more consistent between things. So, but yeah, it's been going fairly well.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. We are waiting on Conall to arrive. He has been running a little late today, which that's life. Sometimes it grabs you by the seat of the pants and takes you for a ride. So, but so tonight it might be a short night for us. This topic is one that I'm still not quite sure how I want to go about, explaining this. But the question is this. Let me pull it up over here on my other screen. I'm talking about someone being late tonight, and I'm the one who's not prepared. Sometimes, people just have bad days. Sometimes game masters especially just have a lot of things going on in their life, and they just don't have the time to prep, or they might be taking some of the things that players are doing a little too personally. I've been there. I've done that. There have been some times I've said, on occasion that I was actively trying to TPK the party, because that was the only way I could challenge them. Literally the only way I could challenge them, because the power curve was beyond epic at that point. So I had to make my challenges ultra deadly. Now, was I doing that to be adversarial? I don't think I was, but I was accused of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll tone it back. We'll scale things back just a little bit.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if you're here's the way I look at it. You either need to always try to TPK them from first level on, or maybe you were making a little bit of a mistake in that you were going about it the wrong way. Combat isn't.
This was over 10 years ago, so
combat isn't the only way to challenge people. And maybe, here's the thing. If a guy spends his whole life trying to be the best fighter there ever was, whatever format, he is going to neglect, or she, certain aspects in life. Just like getting along with other people, knowing how to cook. It runs the gamut of all those, all the things in between that sort of spectrum. And you can show them that, hey, while you may be the greatest fighter, you can't tie your shoes. I'm going to challenge you. You know what I mean? I'm going to now have to challenge you with the rest of reality, and that's never going to be combat. Sucks to be you, because what happens when you become the greatest fighter and there are literally no more challenges? What happened to Alexander the Great? He was bombed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He broke down. He's like, "What the hell? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
How about
What's left?
smell the roses every once in a while along that road? You know, kind of diversify your portfolio of what you can do in life." I've always preferred other challenges over combat because in most RPG games where people can get, scores, if not hundreds of hit points and weapons, without being in the hands of an absolute master, if a, sword fell on you, it's going to do a D8. Well, I've got hundreds of hit points. I don't even feel it. That tends to put you in the like Superman category. And how was Superman challenged book after book, month after month, with Lois and Jimmy Olsen constantly getting in trouble, and because he cared about them, that was a challenge to keep them from getting, squashed by whatever Bizarro Superman or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many other ways to challenge a player, that I try to start at the beginning and do a little bit of everything. Let them know that it's not always going to be combat, 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 combat. If that's what we're going to do, let's just play a video game or a board game, and I don't have to work so hard. You know what I mean? There are a lot of games
Mm.
that don't touch on that, and it's just about combat. And I play a lot of war games and board games, and those are fun. I'm not just I've got one hobby and that's it, and I'm just going to be the best at it. Screw that. I'm going to do all
Yeah.
kinds of crap, and who knows? Every morning I wake up, what am I going to do today? Don't know yet. Let's see what sparks the interest and enjoy that. A buddy of mine and I were talking today. He was talking about some stuff on his table, and it's not who you think. Well, it is if you're the guy who we were talking. But I don't paint anything that I don't want to paint. I don't like, oh crap, I got to get this done, unless it's literally a commitment. Like if I'm going to show it off in a video, well then it's got to be painted. If it's going to be in a game, it should be painted, but I don't have to paint anything I don't want to. And if I want to paint it, I paint it better. If I don't want to paint it, then I may make subconscious or hasty mistakes just because I want to get the task over with and get to the thing I want to enjoy. And we're talking about a hobby. Enjoy the hobby or find something else to do instead of putting work on your table, on your plate, when you probably have a 9 to 5 and other commitments. Hobby time is for, enjoyment. Otherwise, it's just another job.
I agree completely, Scott. There are some players out there who, and this might feed into the adversarial player and game master thing, that there are some players out there who want to just kick in the door, slaughter everything that moves, collect the treasure, and move on to the next room. A lot of people, call them the murder hobos, and some of them are just very focused on the board game aspect or the war game aspect of the hobby. I'm not going to necessarily call them a bad player. I'm going to call them a different kind of player. That's not the way I want to play, or participate in the hobby. But if that's the way they participate in the hobby, maybe they find a like-minded group.
It really depends because, for example, the guy playing Diablo 4 makes it to the tournaments and is the best Diablo player of 2023. He's not being bad at his hobby. That is his hobby. If your hobby is role playing, well then be good at role playing. If your hobby is the other games that are sometimes called adventure games or whatever that allow role playing, be the best at whichever facet of the hobby you want. Just be careful, I guess, what you call yourself. Even then, I feel like kind of about saying that because I don't care. Sure. Call me whatever you want. Be careful what you call me to my face.
So yeah, tonight's topic is going to mainly focus on the adversarial game master. Now, some might be wondering like, well, what is the adversarial game master? The adversarial game master is one who tries to beat down the party at every turn. They always have the counter to everything the players can do. They go out of their way to make sure the party is not capable of succeeding. What are some of the other signs to you that would hallmark a adversarial game master?
One of the biggest cardinal sins in the hobby, as it were, or really in any kind of cooperative activity, and that's the ugly, ugly, ugly beast called favoritism. There's nothing worse than being that one guy who comes up with the great ideas, but the DM's like, you could just see the gears grinding where he's trying to come up with a counter to it. But, Susie in the corner or Mickey or Bob, they're just, skating through the game, and you can just see it. Everybody can see it, and nobody's going to say anything about it, because then they become one of the unfavored, and nobody wants to, be that. Nor does anyone want to be the one guy at the game table who's just like getting, crapped on for whatever reason. If there is a reason, especially if it's like an outside the game thing, just settle that like, men or gentlemen, and, hash it out one way or the other. And if it means not coming back, guys, I've been playing for a year. I online, I'm in a bunch of games a week. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes there are cancellations, but there's always going to be a game online. And sure, it's not the same in some respects, but when I think it was Max and we were talking about it. And to be honest, at this point in my life, there are more pros for online gaming than cons. Unless, you're talking about a good bunch of friends that have been friends outside the hobby, like guys you grew up with, went to high school or college or work with, and you go to barbecues together, and you go to the movies, and you hang out, and you do stuff that just so happens to not be the hobby as well, then those are the guys you do want at your table in person. But a bunch of strangers you met at the shop, yeah, let's just game online or at the shop. In my house, no, just no. There's too many distractions. When I come up here to the studio and I close that door, if anybody comes to talk, they come around a certain way where you guys usually can't see him, unless it's Jackie, and he'll come through the door and be like, give me, teenage crap. But if anybody else comes over or something, they know I'm up here. I don't have the on the air light yet, which I absolutely can't wait to get. As soon as I walk in, click that button, and it's on the air outside the door. I can't freaking wait. I've been wanting one of those for 3 years, right? Doesn't it just, it's so dorky, but it makes you feel, like I'm on the air, it's just, look at me.
Maybe put it on the wall behind me.
Right. Well, no, I mean, I'm going to put it outside the door here so that, whoever comes by, even my mother-in-law who doesn't speak Spanish, she'll see the light on. It's like, oh, okay, shh, right, Jack? On the air light. He's giving me the bird. So
respectful.
But yeah, but favoritism, that's a biggie. And just call that person out on it. It's like, look, every time I come up with something, it's not working out. Should I just let everybody else take the reins or the lead, and that way I know it'll be, or should I just give them, like, write it down and give them a note and let them make the suggestion so it'll work? Say hi, Jade.
Hello.
Hello.
Moto.
So.
Old commercial. Hello, Moto.
Well, we do have another panelist in the green room, so I'll be bringing him on in just a moment. But finish your thought.
No, that's one of the things that comes to mind. Other than that, I would think, it's just that they're, if it's a sporadic thing, then maybe it's just a bad day thing, and remind them, hey, we come over here to your place or vice versa to hang out and put that crap away, dude. Just relax. Leave your troubles at the door. I'll make you a special box. You can put them in the box before you come in the house, and let's leave that shit out there and let's have some fun. We're friends. We're supposed to be friends. Sure. When you are the GM, referee, whatever, you've got a little bit more pressure and responsibility, but maybe that's it. They're tired of being the GM. Maybe it's a subconscious way of like, well, you think you can do it better? Why don't you DM? And then it'll be my turn to play, kind of thing. But I think first and foremost is just confront the GM and say, hey, maybe not at the table, maybe on the phone or before the game's like, dude, I'm having a hard time here. What's up? You all right? Don't make it about you, but make it about them. You all right, man? You seem a little grouchy. We're here to have fun. If you're not feeling it, we can just hang out and watch a movie together.
All right, now I'm going to bring Conall on. He was running just a little bit late today, so welcome, Conall, to the stream.
I am
a little bit late.
Top row.
So, well, here's the rub. I was asked by somebody's child if I would go watch them play t-ball. Today was their first game playing t-ball. So here's my choices. Either I tell them no, I have plans tonight, or I try to fit both things in. Me as a father, and somebody that I care about kid asks me if I'd do something for them, I'm going to be there. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it's like gaming for children. It's like gaming for children. You got to show that you have interest in their likes and what they want for them to mature, to be grown-ups. You have to put time and effort into them because they are. Hey, I'm trying to be wholesome. I could go back to the other side of the road. The other side of the road feels whole.
No, and you make a good point. Real life does come up, and real life always comes before a game.
Right.
I know there are some out there that say, the game is scheduled at this time, or the event is scheduled at this time. You show up or you don't. And that I get it. There are some people who work by that kind of schedule. But no, I always believe that real life comes before literally anything else. You always take care of what needs to be taken care of in real life first.
If you have kids, go to the chat. If you got kids that want to play t-ball, say yes. It's like watching the Three Stooges with a wiffle ball and the ball. I was laughing my ass off the entire time. Talk about one of those rare moments where it's just good for your soul to laugh. And that was the entire game, me just laughing my ass off because all the old cartoon collusions were all chasing 3 or 4 guys chasing the ball all at once. They collide into each other. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It was great. It was great.
And Scott says, dude, it's cool. Just pop a squat and no explanation necessary. So better than pickleball. I have not actually played pickleball. I have seen it. It's like a larger version of tabletop tennis or ping pong.
I just played tennis when I could. I was left-handed, and so like most things in life, people don't like left-handers.
Well, to get you, Conall, caught up with what we're talking about adversarial game masters. Those game masters who got it out for the players. And the first question is, what are some of the signs of an adversarial game master? Now, I know you've been at my table a lot, and I've been accused of being adversarial. And if you have a story that you'd like to share about me being adversarial, I'm okay with that because I'll admit to my mistakes.
I don't. Since you're, throwing yourself on a line here, I'll be honest. I don't see you as an adversary DM. I see you don't pull your punches. And some people see that as, oh, the DM has it out to get me. He didn't fudge that nat 20. We all know he should have fudged that nat 20. How dare you kill that fat dragon? I mean, or turn his dust into atoms. How dare you? No, there's one thing to be, I'm just going to kill the entire party tonight, no matter whatever they decided to do. And there's another part where, okay, if I want to be a fair DM, because they're not pulling my punches with me, why should I pull my punches with them? And the last game I was at your table was Wrath of the Righteous, which was broken 3 ways from Sunday. I mean,
Yeah.
I have mythic abilities. What does that mean? I'm 000 level small g character. I have no shits. Everything will bow down to my my wants and commands. And here he is. The DM's like, well, I gotta keep this challenging because what's the point if I don't keep it challenging? Is that being a bad DM? No. The idea of gaming, to my opinion, is both people get something out of it. Why does a DM have to sit at the table if he's not going to get something out of it? You're taking up time. Everybody's taking up each other's time. So if he's being adversary, it's because something is up. Maybe y'all need to go out for a beer afterwards, or something's going on. But you also have to read between the lines. Is he just being a fair DM or referee, or something else going on? Oh yeah, and Whisper, Scott's character, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
I can speak to this one. So in the game I ran, he was playing this elven rogue wizard, and he had a stealth score in the double digits before he left single digit levels. It was kind of absurd. He actually almost had triple digit stealth check or stealth capabilities at, I think, level 20 or 30 was somewhere around there. And he's right. There was something that I threw in the game, and it was soul sight. It wasn't a regular kind of sight. It was called soul sight. And the concept of it was that these undead monsters could see the embers of soul burning within a body, and they hungered for it. It wasn't so much that I wanted to see specifically just his character. I wanted these undead to be able to sense their prey and go after it with abandon, because they were so ravenous for a soul. And I don't think I said or portrayed it accurately or even fairly, maybe. So, I will apologize for that. And there were certain things and I'm like, okay, I think you've taken it too far. And this is my response to that was, going a little too far with it. And I'll apologize for that. I'll call myself wrong. Instead of being a reactionary game master, I should have been a responsive game master and be like, oh, okay, so, you've gotten, this stealthy. Sure, let's, you can sneak in, sneak out, whatnot, with no problems. Whoops. I don't know what happened there. There you go.
Actually, how
So, yeah. So I may have been being a little adversarial at that time. I think to me as the game master, I think I was fed up with the constant, I'm going to sneak in and the entire night. There's no reason for any of the other players to be here for the first 2 hours. I think that was the point at which I was like, okay, I need to put some kind of blockage in the way to advance everyone else's gameplay, not just one player. Mm-hmm. So again, I may have been a little adversarial on that. So I apologize. DM that puts himself.
I don't know that adversarial so much as it's refereeing. With a lot of the games that I'm in, the more role-playing game like games when they're online, like when we play tomorrow, I'm going to go to each player around in the circle, so to speak, and I, okay, whatever it is you were doing, I don't care because it's such and such's turn. If I need a sand timer, okay, got a minute. It's kind of exhausting, but at the same time, it's better than, okay, you've taken up, the GM's time for a half hour. The other players could have, literally played a game of Magic or something in the corner, you know what I mean, while waiting for you to shut the frick up and let somebody else have a turn. So that's what I would have done in those situations. Like, yeah, you're not the only one at the table, and if you're going to be going off on your own, maybe being part of a party is really not cut out for you.
I mean, I can definitely see that. Go ahead, Conall.
There's one thing where you're running an adventure and you have it's a dungeon crawl, and don't split the party. It's almost a prayer. Don't split the party.
You never split the party.
Right, but sometimes the dungeons themselves will have pit traps or a trap that a single player will fall through, and now he's on a different level that the rest of the parties. It's not that you're singling him out; it's just a bad roll, or just how it runs out. And I think there has to be a time. Okay, we got 5 minutes to figure out what you want, and I'm going to give the other people 15 minutes. There's got to be a time adjustment, but the idea is to keep things. If you can't keep things completely balanced, at least be on the upper side of it. Then just say
I'm less concerned actually about game balance. I'm sorry to cut in. I'm less concerned about game balance or player balance as I am about giving everyone their moment in the spotlight and keeping the game moving. That was definitely one of my shortcomings when I was a much younger game master. Was I would focus too much on just one player, and that's all I would do for however long, because they just kept going and going. And it wasn't just one player. Sometimes it was like 2 or 3 different players at the table. They were really into the characters, really into RP, and really wanting to explore the edges of the world. And I was too inexperienced at that time to say, okay, let's stop there and move the camera. So and that was, again, a failing on my part as a young game master.
We've had, and I say this with due amounts of respect to the man, because he is one of my favorite people. James, if he had any RP questions for you, he would email you and not put it in the middle of game. And I know this is not really, we're still on topic. We're just roundabouting it, I guess. But yeah, if a DM is having a bad day, a DM's just having a bad day. Maybe you guys shouldn't be gaming that day. If a DM's being a dick, guess what? There's, now, oh my God, right now, there are more DMs. You can't swing a cat without hitting a DM these days.
No, you can't. Which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to have that many game masters. I would have loved to have that many game masters when I was in the hobby, years ago.
Yeah, that's why there's so many eternal GMs. Because a lot of players are just tourists, they're just checking out the hobby and moving on. I predict it's only going to get worse with so many other options that are less old-timey seeming. You know what I mean? This hobby can pale in comparison to a really good video game, or going to the movie, or doing some other activities, especially for really outgoing, healthy people who'd rather be riding a bike or hiking or going to a bar or something like that, as opposed to sitting around a table waiting for their turn to do whatever.
Yeah. The problem is with the bar comment, up until Cheers reopens, if you know, there are just no good bars around where I live right now. So all I got is you guys.
So we short story about that. We here in Central Illinois, we have a bar in town that closed. I think 2017. They're planning on reopening, and it's a subterranean bar. You take stairs to go down, just like in the show Cheers. Yeah, huh?
Like a cellar. Like a
kind of like cellar.
Where I used to live, there used to be a place called the Rathskeller, and that's literally what it was a German bar underground, and
yes, Scott, it is reopening. I don't know the date, but I have been reading the articles on it. They're planning on reopening.
I have a different name for it in my head, but yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. McAnally is Cheers. Yeah. Take your pick of subterranean.
Have I had a DM? Yeah, we both had the same DM.
Yeah. I think it has something to do with this comment.
Oh yeah.
Whoops. Let me
Can you
go back
bring
up
that
to
one
it
back
real
up
quick.
again?
Yep. Bring it back up. There we go. A
Yeah,
DM that puts himself into the game as an Ubermensch NPC is a warning sign. When I ran games, I had more than enough on my plate to add personal fan fiction on top of. Yeah. And Connell's right. I'll let you tell the warning signs there.
Said gentleman is the DM that got me into the game. To be fair, I will thank him for giving me the play. But every so often, his weird traits would interfere with his DMing. Where, for example, he wanted to have one PC have a unwanted, unneeded relationship with another PC in a very drunk and very not great way. I am trying to kidify that one.
Yeah.
And
that it's one of the classic cardinal sins of let's just call it dungeon mastering is having an NPC player character that it's obviously you have to have NPCs, but an NPC that just might as well be a player, but yet never. And I'm not even saying never because after some point, even the players will get the fact that hey, oh, you're playing Gandalf, and you can't you've got the more plot armor than Frodo, so you can't die. So we just stand behind the NPC. You go and disarm the trap or whatever. It's just you don't do it. NPCs are supposed to be more red shirts than gold shirts.
Yeah.
If you're talking TS or TOS, yeah.
That was the second to last time that we gained with them, and God forbid somebody else decided to be a DM other than him. Because if somebody else decided to be a DM other than him, he would whine and bitch the entire time about it. Because I'm not saying he had a God complex. I'm just saying he had a douche complex.
He also had the he also had the same attitude about he complaining about being a forever game master. So when I offered to game master, we played my game for I think 3 or 4 sessions, and then he started being a problem player and wanting to game master again. So, but that's fine. I don't invite him to my table anymore. So
he doesn't even live
for those eternal GMs out there, if someone came down from on high saying you don't get to be a DM anymore, I'd be like, not a freaking problem. I've had so much fun playing in the last year. If I would have been able to tell my 14-year-old self, just be a player, dude. Just be a player.
Amazing enough, Scott, it wasn't me. You did not kick me from your tables.
And Fleety says, now I assume villains, arch enemies, nemesis are outside of the category of normal NPC. I would say yes.
If he would have tried,
go ahead, Colin. Go ahead.
If he would have tried that nonsense with an enemy PC and not force on 2 PCs, I'm not saying it would have been a great move. I'm just saying it would have been a little bit more. It'd
been more tasteful.
What was it?
It would have been more tasteful or in character.
Either way, it was a bad go. But forcing that on 2 PCs instead of NPC just being, yeah.
Invincible.
We'll leave it. We'll fade to black on that one.
Yeah, because having a really powerful NPC that is the bad guy, all you got to do is go, hey, Dr. Doom, Joker, what do you want? You want to kill? You want me to make up somebody tougher next time? No, or do you want to keep fighting the same guy until you finally do get him and make it work. Killing him here now, is that really going to be the story you want to tell? Or maybe he planned ahead knowing that it's him against the party. Maybe he planned an out. Maybe he had a teleport ring and, better luck next time. Think about stuff like that. Any good villain is that's their freaking first lesson. Day one in villain school. Have an escape route, period. Or you don't get the villain again.
Maybe a scroll of Summon City Bus.
No. Day one, I'm not saying I went to the school, but day one is how to have the perfect curly mustache for your evilness.
Yes. So, and I have been at a table where the game master wasn't so much adversarial, but he had a story in mind, and he had his character, his NPC character, as the main focus point of the game. And while I appreciate his attempt at running that story, it wasn't a bad story. I think with a different crew of players, it would have gone a lot differently and maybe better for him as the game master, but not necessarily for the players. And I'm not going to say he was adversarial about it, because we got up to a lot of shenanigans he wasn't prepared for. But it didn't go the way he was hoping it would. I'll leave it at that.
Nobody wants to be second fiddle, especially to the referee. That's just bad refereeing. Again, just
I mean, I'm still friends with the guy, and I'll always have him at my table at any time he wants. If you're out there, you know who you are. So I rank as a player, like I put him at S tier. He is just that great of a role player and game player. He's just really a really great player. And I would love to see him game master again.
The worst part is when they, if you call them out and they don't believe they're in the wrong. If you guys have been watching, videos like this one and countless others. If you ever find yourself going, oh crap, I did that, just fess up to it and say, you know what, guys, I didn't know. I'm sorry, and move on. But to keep doing it, especially after finding out that that's like a bad thing, because I've done, you name it, any one of these things, I've probably done it 100 times. Not recently, but
it's.
Well, let me get on to the second question then. And this, let's see here. There was a comment that kind of fits into this. Let's see here. I've lost the comment. Well, okay. Well, it'll probably come up again. So, we've covered like what some of the signs of an adversarial game master might be, but we haven't asked the question or answered the question as to why we believe that game masters become adversarial or combative. So in your words, why do you think a game master, given all these things that we've said, hey, here's some warning signs, why do you believe that they become adversarial or combative? I'm going to start with Conall on this one.
There is such a thing called DM burnout.
Okay.
I've had it there once or twice. It normally doesn't last long for me, but because I just love the game for the game. I rather play, but DMing just fine as well too. But you get somebody who has DM burnout, and there's just he doesn't want to leave the hobby, but there's no exit. There's no off ramp for somebody else to take a turn for a while. Hypothetically, let's say the three of us all living in the same town. Mike says, I've been DMing for the last 2 years. I'd like to break. Well, both of us say, sure, I'll take the wheel. But what if you have a table where you don't have that option? No one at the table is willing to relieve the first DM. Well, yours is more of circumstance other than option, I believe. But
it's still kind of what you're describing.
So
Mhm.
he gets burnt. You get burnt out so damn bad. It's like, I don't even want to game anymore. And no one here is, in not my opinion, but opinion is these guys are a bunch of selfish bastards. If they're not going to help me out, why should I do this? Why should I do that? So all of a sudden, the burnout turns into anger. Now it's DM anger or DM resentment. DM resentment or
Yeah, I would say resentment's a good one.
resentment. So I'm gonna start taking it out on my players because they took the only outlet I have from having a busy ass week and ruined it for me. So the crits are going to happen more often. The treasure is going to be less. The leveling is never going to happen. They just won't know it. Or by the time they realize it, whatever. You do petty shit because you feel resented towards your players for not at least wanting them stepping up. So yeah, it might be a shit game, but I'll run it for until so you can get a breather. I think that's how that happens. I think it's not so much not talking, but no one's willing to step up to the bat. Everybody at the table thinks, hey, I could do this, but nobody wants to. So everything lays on the first DM's feet. That's not cool. Everybody needs a break every so often.
That's why people need vacations. What about you, Shadow? Why do you think game masters become adversarial or combative?
Honestly, I think it's learned behavior from previous GMs before it gets to the DM burnout. Most of the horror stories, and even some people we know, are the product of a broken home. I mean, table, where they were brought into the hobby wrong. They were taught by a DM who was, for whatever reason, touched in their no place, as a young player, and learned bad habits. There are a lot of bad habits out there. There are, at least the 10, deadly sins in the hobby. Go look. There's 100 different versions of that video of 100 different people teaching all the bad, what the bad things are. Don't do them because they've been done to them, which then can lead to the adversarial DM because the players are railing against the bad behavior that was taught to the GM from being a player in a bad behavioral game. It's the whole cycle of abuse. It just keeps going on. Yeah, I'm trying to get it pointy the way I like it. I cleaned it first. Besides, I've drank paint water and worse. So
lead paint,
lead-based paint.
Well, it's not the lead paint; it's the lead miniatures.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not even going into it, but I've seen people chew on lead miniatures. I had a dog. Okay, funny story, real quick. My dog. You guys have all seen him. Lovable little mutt. I got a Call of Cthulhu, brand new. Mind you, it was old, but I just got it in the mail. It was a Call of Cthulhu miniature box set in the mail. I just got it, and I put it on the table to because I opened it up like, oh, cool. This is before I was doing videos. I put it on the table. I turn around. The dog had taken it and tore it to shreds. The box is ruined. Was chewing on the miniatures. God knows why, but I guess dumb dog. And to this day, I still have all the miniatures. They're fine, but the box, which was, if you're a collector, it's kind of a big deal. And now the box is freaking ruined, but I still keep the miniatures in that box. And every time I see it, I'm over the anger phase. I just laugh my ass off. But back to topic, it's really, I think, just learn bad behavior and continuing that cycle of abuse. My old chief used to make us taste a different grease in case we had to do repairs without light, so we knew which was which Navy ocean. Oh God. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that. Therefore, I'm not going to say
just
anything.
Wow. Like that's wow.
That's a pretty wow. But yeah, I mean, there's probably a bunch of other reasons that it comes to, but I think Connell's is the latter stage of the abusive cycle, whereas first they have to learn it, then they lash out for having learned it, I guess, and then the players, railing against the adversarial GM. I don't know. What do you think, Jade?
So I think Six Nations kind of mentioned it here. Insecurity. I know when I was a much younger game master, we're talking 15 years ago at this point. I was very insecure in my role as a game master because I didn't truly understand the game that I was trying to run. Like I didn't fundamentally understand it at its most basic level. And the other side of that was I thought the story was more important than the players. So I was very much in the mentality of, hey, this is, what are you doing? Why are you going, why are you trying to subvert this, the story that's being told at every turn? Like, why are you doing this? I thought I had adversarial players. No, I was the adversarial game master who thought the story was more important than what my players' actions were. And I'll like I said, I'll fully admit my faults. I was that way once upon a time, and I have changed from that to no. Let's I'm more invested in what my players are wanting to do and the story my players are wanting to play out. Now that doesn't mean I'm off the hook in making things because I still have to come up with the content for them to experience and for them to go through. And I can throw the hooks, in place. And if they misinterpret one of the hooks or, go herring off in a wrong direction or a wrong direction, I can be like, oh, okay, well, I hadn't planned for that thing to be over there, but what's over there now? And I can just kind of come up with it off the cuff.
Type thing, do you?
Huh? Oh, where
you don't mean like
where the player's like, well, we think it's this direction, and the game master's like, well, it's actually over there, but you know what? Now it's over there. Yeah, like you can do that, but there are ways you can thread clues to point the direction that the players were, or point the direction back to the direction rather that the plot was going in. There are clues you can leave in place. If the players go, oh, we're this person was heads died, and we found a meat cleaver here at the murder site in the woods. Well, let's go inspect the meat cutter, the butcher. Okay, we're going to ignore the farmhouse literally right there. We're not going to start there. Okay, that's fine. We'll go to the butchers and find out what's going on over there. And it turns out the butcher had nothing to do with it, that he had sold some knives to a farmer. Like that would be a way to get them back to the area that they were supposed to want to investigate. I'm not going to say supposed to investigate, but that they should have wanted to investigate. So, the whole quantum ogre thing, that is a method. Like the players don't actually know where the villain is, like the exact location. The villain could be literally anywhere at any time. You can do that, but I think giving them the tools they need to come to the conclusion that makes the most sense is probably for the better.
This past Monday, I am running Rise of the Rune Lord through 5th edition because that's just what my players are comfortable with. Anyways, they're doing a somewhat of a dungeon crawl. They're trying to find a way to get out of this gladiator pit area. This is probably the best example. And if they would have doomed it, when I say not doomed it, what's the video game that you're supposed to grind? Diabloed the area, they would have found a certain person they needed, but they didn't. Doesn't matter how many clues you might lie down. Sometimes players are just stubborn and they're going to do whatever they want to do. They ran into a haunt. The only way to, if they would have came with the person they're supposed to find, the haunt would have never triggered, but they were just trying to beeline it out of it. So the haunt and Rise of the Rune Lord went off. Damn near killed all 6 of the players, not because I'm trying to be mean to them, but because they didn't pick up what I they didn't pick up the clues that maybe we should look around. You know, maybe we should Scooby Doo this and not trying to get from here to the exit, you know, and in a Fast and Furious type of way. But like most things, what do I know?
So,
yeah, I try not to do that. If they make a mistake, they'll find out eventually. But I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna help them solve the mistake. That just, you know, then they tend to, you know, subconsciously get it and then go, oh well, how about a hint? And I'm like, what do you mean? Who's gonna give you a hint? God's gonna come down and give you a hint? Screw that. No, you figure it out. You know,
I just keep my mouth shut and let them do what they want to do until I have to describe something or the other shoe falls down. That's just how I'm DMing with this group because they're all grown-ups. And I'll let them play the game that they want to play. Yes, it's a module. I did not write it. There will be an ending to this module, but how they get there is on them, not on me.
So this is a question for advice that Flady is asking. Any advice for Tim? His situation I have. I think there's some autocorrect errors there, but that's fine. I'm trying to playtest a mod, and the one player is more used to campaign play. Any advice besides benching the player and grabbing a new one?
be the yeah. You don't look. If you do that, they're never going to learn, or they may learn poorly, and then you won't be able to integrate them into your own game. If you've got to, you know, help out a new guy, you know, or someone who's been out of the game for a while, it's gonna go better on your karmic record than just like, sorry, you know, you're out of here.
I mean, it sounds more like the player is a longtime player that is more used to long form play rather than short form play. And then he's wanting to try out something in more short form play, is what it sounds like.
No, I get that. It's just if you know, if he's a good friend, and two, if you want him in your games, regardless, you know, or her, whatever. If you want them around, then, you know, just say, look, this is a little bit different. You know, enjoy the ride, but you know, it's a finite situation. Once we get out of the module, let's you know, regroup and see what's going on. But you know, if you're only looking for, you know, the top tier players, you know, that you know everything and know how to handle everything and do everything right, I'd honestly rather play with a bunch of noobs that I could, you know, kind of help mold and educate than a bunch of people who think they know everything and, you know, kind of want, you know, way more out of it than maybe some of the other people at the table. You know, you can always scrap the game and go, okay, that didn't work out, let's do something else. But you can't always, you know, get a friend back when you've, like, you know, hurt their feelings or kicked them to the curb for a while because you want, you know, just, you know, a certain specific, you know, result. You know, every game is a learning experience for everybody. And I'd rather help in that than to go, oh, everything went perfect. It was textbook perfect in every way. And everybody had this exact level of fun. You know, I like those ups and downs and those mistakes and those screw ups. And, you know, I don't expect perfection from anybody, least of all myself.
Now, I'm going to answer or jump on this one as well. So my advice to you would be, and this is something I did with Conall here. He had expressed a want to not play his character in one of the games that I was running. He wanted a break from the character. So I'm like, okay, that's perfectly fine. Let's get you into a new character and try something new out for a little while. And, you know, I offered him to, because we were in a long form game, and I offered him the ability to swap to a new race of being. Now, it was new to me at the time because it was out of the Eberron book. It was Warforged. And he wanted to swap to kind of a War Machine-esque kind of character. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, that works. You know, I'm willing to do that. He just rolled off the line. He's Unit 0000. He's literally the prototype. Here's your mission. Here's the mission parameters. This is, this is the character that we'll play with, and we'll test some things out. Now, I don't know about you, Conall, but how do you believe that worked out? I think it worked out pretty well. How do you feel that worked out?
I think it was a good call. I remember I played a Warforge. Another person played a Artificer, who's kind of my mechanic. If I'm remembering it correctly, that was many drinks ago. But if I'm remembering it right,
I think that's because his character also either went missing or had died. I can't remember.
Right,
he was playing an Ogren.
Anyways,
Anyway.
No, I think switching out, having players that, if you have a player at your table that is a guaranteed player, guaranteed fill the seat, he doesn't cause any drama, it doesn't cause any problems. I'm not talking about myself because I'm KS at most people's tables, and I apologize for that somewhat. But a better player than I am. I think giving them the option to try to play something new is a good idea, because then they don't feel like they're just there to be the heal bot. They're just there to be take the damage or whatever. They can actually experiment with the game within the game, and you have better results from it than being typecast into something that, okay, I'm tired of playing. And yeah, I think that way what you did was a really good call. I've done it a few times, especially with kids, because, okay, I'm done, or they have an idea, it doesn't work out for them, and I'm like, well, why don't you try this? With adults, just take time and talk to your DM. Just take time to talk to your DM, because the more you guys
or game masters talk to your players.
Or yeah, as long as there's an open dialogue between players and DMs and vice versa, all the way around, you'll have healthier games, in my opinion, and healthier friendships. Also keep in mind, you don't necessarily always have to game with your friends. Sometimes your friends don't make the world's best players.
Not sure what we're going on there with find every inch of copper to your list. Okay. So we've discussed why game masters might become adversarial, and what some of the signs of game masters being adversarial might be. But now I'm going to ask this question, and this is for you to think of as a player. What do you think players can do to mitigate or turn down the temperature of their adversarial or combative game master? Shadow, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Carrot or the stick, man. There's right. You got to talk to the DM, and in talking, you can let the GM know that we could do this the easy way or the hard way. If there's an issue and it's insurmountable, color me gone. But if it's something else and I can help you out with, what do you need, bro? We're friends. Right, exactly. It's all about communication. This whole game is just nothing but communication. And if you're not good at it, this ain't the hobby for you. You've really got to be able to communicate, and you got to be able to read the room. And unless it's somebody new in your life, a new DM you met through a friend of a friend or something like that, chances are you've known this guy or this gal for a good long time, and you just say, hey, what's up? Is this the way it's always going to be, or you're just having a bad night, or maybe I should look for a looser game that doesn't have a DM with a stick up its ass. We're here to have fun, and I know there's a lot of people that hate that this hobby could be fun, but I guess they need to be reminded of what the definition of fun is. We're not doing our taxes together, you know. We're not, you know.
Well, if I can write you, if I can use you as a tax bonus, I might file my taxes with you. I mean, I'm just saying.
What about you, Conall? What are some of the things that a player might be able to do to turn down the temperature or mitigate some of the adversarial game master's behavior?
This is going to sound so preachy. I know this is how this is going to sound. Go have dinner. Break bread. The main reason we, as a species, ever gathered at the table was to share a meal, to talk about what's going on in our lives, our daughters, our sons, our wives, our family in general. And if you have a DM that's just having a bad go of it, say, hey, why don't we go grab a hamburger, go have a conversation somewhere, or hell, bring him a 6-pack of beer. Beer goes a long way if he drinks. Or
so DM bribes is what you're recommending. I got you.
Well,
I'm a big fan.
no. If I showed up, hypothetically, I show up at Mike Jaide's house tomorrow with a 6-pack of beer. What am I bribing him for? He's not. Yeah, not at the current moment. He's not my DM. But I'm just saying, breaking bread with somebody, not breaking wind, breaking bread with a DM that's having an issue.
You got to do one before you can do the other.
Right. Might be a good way to solve whatever the issue. Yeah, Scott's right. There is something primal about sharing food with others. And a lot of the tables I'm at, a lot of the tables I've been at, I should say, a potluck where everybody brings something and we all enjoy a meal together before, middle, or after game does tend to go over better. Everybody leaves happy. I'm sorry your character died, but I'm sorry, but those were really good wings. Whatever goes better is like, then fuck you. You killed my character. This is all your fault, or whatever the argument might be. So break bread with your fellow man.
Because back in my day, potluck had a completely different meaning.
No, it hasn't changed. Potluck is still potluck. Bunch of hippies.
Just saying, hey.
So
we roll differently, I guess.
When communication fails, and because you both had really great answers, there's really nothing I can expand upon that except communicate with your game master, take a break from the table, go get a beer, share a meal. When those tactics fail, what are players left to do? When communication isn't working, when going out and get a bite to eat, because I understand people get hangry. I'm one of those people who get hangry.
I carrot or stick.
Yes, you did.
Wait, Jaide gets angry? No, I never seen that ever.
Hey, after about 4 hours, my blood sugar starts tanking, and then I get hangry. All right.
I've only gone camping with you. I've only been at your table several times. No, never. You and you're as patient as Mother Teresa. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Take it for however you want, there, Bubba.
So, what are players left to do if, communication just breaks down?
Hit the bricks, man. Yeah. Cool off, or, nice to know you. It's not really worth getting into a physical, altercation with, because if you don't vote a certain way, only one of you is going to jail and the other one's going to walk. So, yeah, if you cannot work it out, get some distance and, play that emotional game of chicken, and whoever calls the other one back first loses or wins, depending on how you want to look at it. Just stay tuned. I got a lot more to share. Wait till next week. Woo! Yeah. Sometimes distance will make the heart grow fonder. And sometimes it's going to be a case of out of sight, out of mind. And, if it don't work out, there's a whole bunch of people waiting to play online with a lot less, BS involved. No people with questionable odors and things turning up missing, and spills or untidy habits, things like that. Like I was saying earlier, for me, there are far more pros of playing online than cons. And, you can always just hit the go away button.
I would like to defend myself with a statement that's has been posted, a billboard up there. Yes, there is a video of me getting rid of 300 pounds of dead weight. I mean, another player. And it was very bad of me to do it. And I shouldn't have done it that way. But I'm not going to say it's what my character would have done, because I was actually in character the entire time. My character just happened to be a dick too. It was a great relationship between player and character. But if there is no, but this was with player versus players, what Bruce is going after. But if you have a DM that just can't get past his own bullshit, just can't get past his own bullshit whatsoever, we are at the era where you can't, as I said earlier, you can't swing a cat without swinging a cat without hitting another DM. So find one, or maybe the group will want somebody in the group. Hey, you know what? If you were local, I would
Got him.
you day of the week. Damn you.
Got him off track.
Find somebody. Machiavellian had a very good. Damn it! I'm trying to make a point here. Machiavellian. God, I love that man. If you don't know who that is, his name is Nikolai Machiavelli. Read the book called The Prince, and all your problems will be solved. Maybe. Damn it! I had a thought.
And they broke you.
There's enough DMs on the internet today, or maybe one of your friends who said, you know what, that guy was an ass. I think I could run. It might not be the best game. Let's just break away from him and go do our own things. Me and Jaide both did it. We broke ties with one DM, and I think our gaming history got better, in my opinion. It got better once we broke away from that one person. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's a great not.
Anyway, so yeah, those are great comments. Like, you as the player can always find another game master. And speaking of, that topic is going to be coming up on Table Breakers. Actually, we're going to deep dive, and find like places to go and find new game masters and or tables to play at. So, tune in to Table Breakers. I think like 3 weeks from now, maybe 4 weeks from now. But you, the players, don't have to return to that table or game master, especially if communication breaks down. You have the option. Unless you left your books, yeah. Generally, it's a sign to the game master that things aren't going well if the players go grab literally all of their things and leave. That's typically a sign to the game master that something has gone wrong. But you should always try communication first. Go grab a beer, have a conversation with one another, and talk it out. Let the game master know that, hey, I realize you're being a little adversarial. You're being a bit combative. Is everything all right? Is this something you really want to be doing tonight? Is there something you'd rather be doing? Would you rather play board games and chew on bar pretzels and have a beer? Like, is that something you'd rather be doing right now? Just have the conversation. And if that doesn't work and the game master is still being adversarial and very much combative with the players and out to just TPK the group. And not to make it as a challenge, but to just end the game, then literally walk away from the game. Just let the game end.
Just walk away.
Yep, just walk away from it all. I've done that, as Conall has pointed out. Conall and I both walked away from a game table. I was into the game, and then the thing is, I was also living with the game master at the time. I just suffered a break-in at my apartment. I was living alone, and this was the only place I could go to that would have me basically in short notice. So I was living with the guy, and things didn't go well. After about 3 months, I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm walking away, not even looking back.
He ran me off. He ran you off.
He ran me off. But you know what? I don't know where he's at now, but
I hope
good for him.
He's lovely brain tumors have a great life with each other.
I mean, whatever he's doing, I hope he's doing it well. So
you're a better person than I am.
I try to be. I really do. Some days it's hard. Some days it's really hard.
I just can't picture you going, I'm going to be better than Conall. I'm going to be better than Conall. You know what I mean?
Oh, trust me.
Because I don't think he meant it quite that way.
When me and Jaide were roommates, I had to get in the middle of him and the other roommate, which anytime Conall is the voice of reasoning, that means shit is
That's when shit's gone too far.
I mean, do you have in your car a little Conall statue? What would Conall do? And then it says the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
Yeah. When someone asks, "Well, Conall, what do you think of me?" and I say, "Don't answer that," it means don't answer that.
It wasn't my fault.
I know she asked. Don't answer it. Anyway, we're off topic. Imagine that. Kind of, sort of, yeah. So this is actually the last question I have prepared for the evening. So I'm gonna get through chat, and then I'll get back to this question. Apparently, Bruce is okay with being adversarial. If you can't hold the player's feet to the fire and make them pay for their transgressions, hang up the DM screen and stop trying to have a table until you learn your lesson.
How do you learn the lesson without having a table to be at?
Let's see here. I don't bring my books anymore. I have a lot of books, likely a quarter ton.
He's another DM.
Yeah.
I would not actually mind finding myself at his table again if it ever works out in the future. Scott ran a game I was involved with many, many moons ago, and I had a great freaking time.
Let's see here.
Oh, Bruce! Bruce's type of DMing I do enjoy immensely, and I enjoy his company. But Bruce, to be fair, Bruce, you are kind of rough, and that's coming from me.
I don't think that's what they're there for, and if they are, I would start hitting them up for a loan. Because if they're into that kind of abuse, who knows how far you can push it, right?
And by the way, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're not schmuck. He's schmuck. I'm putz, and you're. I don't know what to say, Bruce.
Yeah, that's a long story. I'm not going to get into it right now. So like I said, I'm just making my way through chat. Let's see your problem then. Yep, I agree. I've got a lot of my stuff digitally. Helps with the weight load. I've stopped bringing books altogether because I write only what I need on my character sheet.
Granted, if I'm in a Pathfinder game, I will just use Hero Labs. Everything I need is on my laptop via tablet, whatever I'm using. So I don't need to bring books. But at the same time, there is something awesome about having the weight of the book in your hands. And when you're looking for something, it magically just opens up to that chapter or to that page when you're looking at it, or you didn't even know you were going to be looking for it, and it's right there. We've all had that experience. Me and Shadow had that experience last night when I was rolling up my character for his game. He was already looking at my next decision before I even knew what it was.
It just years and years of experience, and knowing your players. That's why I won't have, for the most part, what I would call strangers. I'm a pretty good judge of character, hanging out with you mugs.
I was about ready to say that. If you're hanging out with us, I'm starting to start questioning your skills.
Yeah, well, I'm not batting 1,000, but I'm a pretty good judge of character. I'm gonna make a mistake every once in a while because people lie. No, yeah, it's why would you hang out with people you don't want to hang out with? You know what I mean? It's something about it. I got nothing.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Hey, I didn't say wife. I said sister.
No. I think for most of us, those days that ship has sailed, and if that's not the case, then good luck to you. Just buyer beware, and be careful. But for the most part,
my friend's wife's sister is in town, and she's really cute. That's where I'm at this age.
Yeah, I literally, it would take me several days to count all my books. It's obscene. But yeah, when you meet somebody, you usually get a good first impression, and after hanging out with them a little bit, if you want to invite them to a game, you've probably got a pretty good idea who you're dealing with. But you never know. That's why, again, you can't have, what's the worst that can happen online? They click the button and go away. You have a problem with someone in real life. Now they know where you live.
Well, another thing players can do to kind of like turn down the temperature or get the adversarial game master to back down a little bit is offer to run a game. Offer to be like, hey, you've been game mastering a while, you might be a little burnt out. What can we do as players to help relieve you of some of the tension? And maybe it's one of the players steps up to the table or steps up to the game master screen and runs content for the group. So if a new player does step up to the plate to be the game master, what advice do you have to offer in order to help prevent them from becoming an adversarial game master? Conall, I'm going to start with you on this one.
If you're a brand new DM, and what the question is, if you're a brand new DM, what can you do to make sure you don't become?
Well, the question is if so the adversarial game master is not having a good time of things, and they need to step down or they need to step back, and one of the players goes, hey, I'm new to game mastering, I'll take the spot. What advice would you have for that player, because they've learned from a game master who's become adversarial? What advice do you have for them to help prevent them from becoming that adversarial game master?
Patience. Hypothetically, let's say I'm the DM and I'm just burnt, and I'm more of an ass than I usually am. Then somebody at the table decides that they want to take the for a while. I would tell them, just like, hey, be patient with players, because just because you think it should be this way doesn't mean it's going to be this way. Keep an eye open for things to fall on their turn on their ear, and try to have fun, because if you're not having fun, what's the point? Is probably what I would say.
Okay. Let's see here. Shadow, what about you? What game master advice would you have for a player brand new to game mastering who steps up to the plate because their game master has just had it and needs to step away? Now, keep in mind, this person's never game mastered and they're learning from a person who just became adversarial or hostile. What advice do you have for them?
Two things. First thing is something I always recommend to every GM. Run the game you'd want to play in. Run that game you've always wanted to be in. Whatever, the genre or subject matter, run the game that you've been dying to play in. So at the very least, you can show people what you like. And if they don't like it, at least you got one good game, that you've always wanted to play. If people like it, which, let's face it, most players aren't really that picky these days. They'll probably, eat it up and be like, yeah, when's the next game? And if not, then sorry, But the other thing is something I've learned this last year. Remember what it was like to be a player when you DM, unless you've never had a chance to be a player. I mean, like never. Remember what you loved about the game. Remember what got you into the game. What was it about the game that made you go, oh my God, this is the thing I want to be doing for the rest of my life when I'm not doing the other things that I can't wait to do, because I'm only 14. Just remember and try to include those things that you loved about the hobby, about the game, whatever game it is you're playing, and include those things. I'm not just saying like treasure and monsters, but the twists, the turns, the surprises, the character voices, or the playing of the NPCs, or whatever it was that made you just go, wow, this is so different than all the other games I've ever played, all the other activities, but yet it's the one I really, really am drawn to. Include those facets that drew you to the game and put them in the game that you're running.
I can't argue with that.
We were just talking about that earlier today, but it was in regards to something else, but we were talking about Fortnite, a conversation I think you'd get quite a kick out of.
I've never played Quake.
So my advice is, if your game master has gotten to the point of becoming adversarial and hostile towards the players, and it's clear that the game master is not having a great time, and they think of it more as work than work, and you're a player who wants to step up and say, hey, game master, thanks for running the game for as long as you have, kick back. I'll give this a shot and see where this goes. My advice is going to be along the same lines as Conall. Be patient with your players. Have conversations with your players. Even ask the game master for, the previous game master for his advice, his or her advice, because obviously they've been doing it for, however long. So they have a lot of the rules knowledge. They have a lot of the concepts there, and work with them, work even alongside them, have them work alongside you, to help get the collaborative story for all the players and get that game master back into the table. If not as a game master, definitely as a player. Remind them of what the hobby was. Remember, remind them that the game is a game. It's meant to be fun, and it's not meant for the game master to be ripping his hair out in frustration at his players. So, be that friend to the game master, step up to the table and be patient and have conversations with him or her and the other players at the table. That would be my advice. So, let's see here. We're at 1 hour and 25 minutes. I think, unless, people in chat have any further amendments to this, I think we've about beat this one to death.
Give him a minute.
Let's see here. Chad, Scott's, I've heard running a module is a way for new DMs to learn. I never did it, but I have heard.
It's
If you're a new
not-
DM, that's an idea.
Yeah,
It's not
it's literally the training wheels.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Some of us, how should I say? Some of us as DMs, even younger DMs, don't have. I'm not saying I don't have the imagination quite yet. They know that they want to play the game. They think they could run the game, but they don't have the. I have a role that already planned out in my head that I want to run you guys through. So grabbing a module, old school module, for whatever system you're running, it might be the best idea because if somebody has a question, why are you doing this way? You can say, well, if you look at, block what they don't need to see, but see this, it says this rule right here, then this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and if you do this, this will happen. After the session is over, there is not you being rough on your players. It is what the book had or the module had in mind for that encounter. So then you saying, well, I thought it would have gone better the other way around. I think it's a safety.
It's chock full of, not just ideas, but structure. It details the plot and the pace and the story, the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
It's literally, a how-to. You could take your favorite module and use its structure and pacing and outline to create an infinite number of continual adventures based on any one module, just following the structure system.
And if you've ran it a few times and actually have a good idea how it was supposed to happen, sometimes you can start throwing in your own ideas. I'm not saying role breaking ideas, I said just switching the script a little bit. And it can make for a better game. It just really just depends on how comfortable you are. There's the magic word, comfortability. A DM has got to be comfortable with what he's running to be a not a solid DM, but to run a game. If he's not comfortable with what he's running, it's going to be a lot of hmms and ands and ifs and whats. I don't know. So it's comfortability and confidence. You're muted there, Shadow.
And hold on, let me look up the rules. Nothing ruins a good game like having to look up a whole bunch of rules, in my opinion. Just freaking wing it. I mean, that is the essence of good GMing is as ad-libbing and winging it,
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and don't be afraid to say the ums and oohs and I don't knows, and it's okay that you don't know the answer to things. You can come up with the answer to it. You just might need a moment, and it's okay to tell your players, "Hey, give me 5 minutes. You went in a direction I wasn't expecting. Let me think this through and come back to me. Go take a smoke break, get a drink, whatever."
And I agree with that. It's just like I said, it falls back down, in my opinion, to comfortability.
And as far as modules go, I would say yes, they are a great way to jumpstart your learning how to be a game master. If you're new to game mastering, don't be afraid of modules. A lot of people might rip on modules, or people who run modules. I've run modules before, and I mostly ran the modules because I didn't have the time to prepare my material that I wanted the way I wanted to run it properly. I didn't have like an hour before a game. I didn't have the week build up to the next game. A lot of times I had maybe 20 minutes at a time. And because I didn't have the time to put into my own material, I ran modules. But I ended up having to, this last set of modules I ran, Wrath of the Righteous, I ended up having to rewrite probably 80% of it anyway. Not the story itself, just every corner, every trap, every monster, every encounter. I had to rewrite the whole damn thing top to bottom. And it was frustrating, time consuming, and not what I thought I was going to be doing. And it made me a very adversarial game master. I'll admit that.
I don't think. No, I was in that game. I don't think so. And I think you're fine as that DM. I'm not
You
saying
don't
that's
live with
something-
me. Ask my wife sometime about how I felt about that game.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. I did feel kind of bad for you on when it comes to that game because I thought it was broken. I thought it was broken on a player's benefit, really, really bad. Uh, I mean, I think of all the players, my character had a few quirks, but he was the less broken of the other people I
Yeah.
played with. Um, and the other great thing about modules though, is you can mine them. You can mine them out for little pieces of gold to use later on in other campaigns. Because there might be a dungeon that you really enjoyed. I mean, I know a DM that threw in not Curse of Strahd, uh, that bastard right in into his
A
campaign.
Chardalon.
Yeah, and it's like now when everybody's like, "Well, I'm going to run something," I'm like, "Nope, I'm good. I played that game once. I mean, I won't do it again, but that bastard's rough."
So another one of the comments that came up, I'm gonna go back up to it real quick, is Mar Hawkman says, how to know the difference between being a bad DM and being a harsh DM for a reason. So I'll start with this one. Knowing the difference between being a bad game master and being a harsh game master. One, the harsh game master is one who does not pull punches, but that goes from the very beginning. You just don't pull punches. Don't fudge your dice. Roll your dice out in the open. Let the players see the dice rolls. They are what they are. Don't fudge them. So it's not necessarily the game master being harsh. It's fate being harsh. And a bad game master. And I'll admit this, the very first time I game mastered, I was asked, well, why is it that way? And I said, because I'm the game master. And what I had done was I had given a monster multiple actions within. I had basically broken the action economy in 3.5. The monster was a blending of two minds at once. So they had kind of like a haste ability. But it was like a 3.0 haste instead of a 3.5 haste, and my players rebelled instantaneously. Well, that's not how the rules are written. And I said, well, that's because I'm the game master, and that's how this monster acts. Like that. That's just what the monster does. It didn't go well, as you might imagine. But that was my literally 20 plus years ago game mastering. I have since changed my methods. But as far as being a harsh game master goes, I don't know if I'm particularly harsh. I just won't pull punches. If the monster rolls 3 nat 20s in a row, I'm sorry, you're basically insta dead. Like that's just what happens. Conall, how many times did I behead you in the Wrath of the Righteous with Baelors?
More than I want to talk about openly.
I mean. It wasn't me being harsh. It was the monster. It was just bad rolls.
There's the difference between, in my opinion, the difference between a bad DM and a harsh DM is a bad DM is forgivable. He's just not good at the game quite yet. He's still learning. A harsh DM, as in he's just after you to be after you. Harsh and I have don't know how to put that. A bad DM is forgivable. A harsh DM is, well, this is how he runs his game. You don't have to be there. You can find another table. There will be players out there that will like his style of DMing. Not every table is meant for everyone.
What about you?
PC way to put it.
Well, it kind of depends. I mean, if you're brand new at it, then you could just lump yourself in with bad because you don't have the experience. If you've been doing it for a while, your players should know your style and understand that they don't know everything. Just because the rule says something, for every rule, there's a counter to it. For every single rule, there's a way around it. And just because you don't or haven't figured out what the DM's doing doesn't mean they're, doing something they shouldn't be doing. So, practice, it's going to take a ton of practice before you've got the confidence and you feel like, you've got it under control, so to speak. Not everything, because that's what dice are for, etc. The other way is at the end of the game. If everybody says either, something like good game, well, then you can take them by their word. Or if they're like, oh man, because they don't want to finish the game, they're not done playing, well, then you're doing something right. If they're like, okay, fine, and they're out of there as quick as they can get out of there, then, body language, guys. Read the room. If they can't wait to get out of there, then you screwed up, and you may want to contact each and every one of them and find out, hey, what happened? What did I miss? Or, you guys weren't feeling it. What's up? And if, they don't come back, well, then you failed completely. Yeah. Oh.
Sorry, I'm just catching up with chat and Everpool Punches. PF.
I mean, even with the Wrath of Righteous, you would have said, hey, I'm going to throw another module on top of this. We're going to 40th level. I would have continued playing at that table because it was a really good group of people. The module was shit, not the DM. With the Wrath of the Righteous, that's how I break that one down. It was module was shit. The DM.
Well, the module was written without a full understanding of the mythic rules, or the mythic powers and the rules that governed them for both player and monster. They were kind of different sets of rules, different sets of powers. The monsters were severely underpowered by comparison to the players, which is why at the end I was just making shit up because I'm like, nope, that power is useless. There's no point to having that. Like, oh, yep, another useless power. Oh, look, yet another useless power. Oh, hey, this one's nifty. Redirect attacks back at from ranged attacks.
No,
really? Does this also apply to spells? Yes, it does. Well, that's awesome.
That was my least favorite, one we came across. I know I'm not the only person at the table that was yelling, "What the fuck?" My dust did not become atoms, but it was like, oh fuck, okay. If he does that with every arrow I put down range, I have just became useless. I gotta figure out a different way to attack this guy. Do I blame the DM?
It was a D4 roll. It was the next 1d4 attacks. Yeah, you didn't know that.
I didn't know that. You just made my character more dangerous to himself than the monster.
Yep.
Now I need to rely on my comrades to take out the son of a bitch because but that's not bad.
All you can do is support.
Yeah, that's not bad DMing. That was a scenario that just as a range guy, I wasn't ready for. And that's the first time I've ever ran into anything close to that.
Right.
Talk about giving somebody nightmares.
And as far as this, we're all learning. You should never think you have nothing left to learn. Well, if you feel like you've got nothing left to learn, well, I guess it's better to start digging the hole because stop learning, start dying.
Yep.
So yeah, Shadow, you're muted.
Or write a book and share with us, please, all of your wisdom and divine insight before you do kick the bucket, because God, what a waste that would be.
I have, it's kind of funny. It's not funny, but it is kind of funny. I have my oldest stepchild is now 22. My youngest is turning 13 this year. And there's something that my ex-wife says to all of them at one point: you better move out now while you know everything until you get old enough where you realize you know nothing.
I'm not sure what Bruce meant by that, but
Well, Bruce has been saying in the comments quite a bit tonight. I don't think he necessarily agrees with what we're saying, but
Or we beat him to the punch, I thought.
or maybe.
Oh my God, 6 8, that's great. Same as it ever was.
Yeah.
I have pictures.
There you go.
I have pictures of Jaide, not wrestling, but playing with the oldest one, and he is when we all lived on Mouse Avenue, and that was forever ago.
Well, okay, so I think Bruce has been. No, Bruce says he's been 39% agree, 61% agree. The topic, I don't know if are you aware of the topic, Bruce? We're talking about game masters who become combative and adversarial against their players, not characters, against the table, where they're out to just ruin everyone's day. That's what we're talking about tonight. So anyway, let's see here. Well, 15 minutes ish left. Conall, what do you got going this week?
Tomorrow we'll be doing. Well, I'll let Shadow tell us what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Other than that, coming.
Okay. I was going to say, before people start jumping out, Free RPG Day is coming up on the 24th of June. Check with the description, check in my description, and you'll see a link to Free RPG Day. You can find potentially a shop near you with content available there. Work with your local shops to potentially become a game master and get people into the hobby. Back to you, Conall. Sorry.
That's right. That's a nice little pitch. Sunday, we'll be reviewing the 1970s, early 70s, late 60s, not 100% sure on the year, Westworld, a movie that is like no other. It has cowboys, it has robots, it has Romans, it has knights. It has everything that you don't want to deal with, especially when the robots break down. That was the movie we'll be talking about. And I hope everybody can join us at 4 o'clock Central Time as we're talking about what makes this movie an awesome movie. And could this movie be turned into a RPG game of some type? Maybe a traveler game I could see working out with this movie. Either way, with that being said, Shadow, I know you're the man with the plan, the goose with the step. What do you got going on?
Well, like you said earlier, tomorrow I will be running part 1 of Last Eclipse on a Talbar, a Traveler 2-shot with the guys from Table Breakers. Friday I will be doing a game review, followed by playing a game Friday night, but that won't be televised. Saturday I will be doing my usual sci-fi shadow chat. Not sure what the topic is yet. And then Sunday we will be reviewing Westworld, which is a very old classic favorite of mine that combines my two favorite genres, sci-fi and westerns, followed by who knows what. I'll be playing in another Traveler game. This one will be televised on Rick from 28 millimeter RPGs YouTube channel, where we will be playing yet another one-shot. I believe RPG Grandma is going to be guest starring with us, so let's go out there and make her famous and Rick famous and all the other new YouTubers out there in TV land who've been putting in all the heavy lifting to get their thoughts and ideas out there. Bo from Bo Paints Minis has been doing a bang up job, and the Crafting DM or GM. Sorry if I messed that up, buddy. And a whole bunch of other new guys and gals out there Give them a chance. Check out their channels, see if you like them, and encourage the heck out of them, because you never know, they may be your next GM.
And as far as me, next week, tomorrow, of course, I'll be hanging out with these two over at Table Breakers on Bruce and Barron's channels. And we'll be going through, his game. Sorry, I just had a phone call come in, and they don't know I'm streaming. That's fine. But next week, you can find us back here on Gatekeepers, and we're going to be discussing the opposite side of the Game Master screen, adversarial players. And the one who's going to be leading us in that is Conall. So go check him out on his channel. His link is in the description below. And we'll be discussing, adversarial players. So everyone have yourself a great evening. If you're watching this later, have a great day. And we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.